Cost of holding the Olympics at a new Victoria Park stadium already being predicted to blow out to $5 billion, and the Queensland government is inviting the private sector to help fund Games infrastructure. State political reporter Harry Clark joins us from Victoria Park. Harry, where are the extra costs coming from?
G'day, Kieran. Well, it's transport and access infrastructure that's going to make this blowout, according to a new report in The Australian. Let me describe to you the lay of the land at Victoria Park. Just over my shoulder is the inner city bypass. It's 6 lanes just here, and getting here is no walk in the park, so to speak. About a kilometre over to the east is the RNA Showgrounds, where there is a train station that needs a big facelift and security upgrades in order to hold the games. Then we've got the RBWH, the Royal Brisbane and Women's Hospital, just within eyesight from where I am now, a few hundred metres. It's a notorious traffic choke point, and obviously that facility can't be disturbed while a mega big build is underway to get the Victoria Park Stadium up and running. The price tag for the stadium itself, $3.8 billion, but sources related to the GICA, the Games Independent Infrastructure Authority, have told The Australian that that access infrastructure could see the cost of setting up the stadium here blow out to $5 billion. The total price tag for the Olympics infrastructure is $7.1 billion. Andrew Liveris, the chair of the Games Organising Committee, insisted, and he did so on Sky News this morning, that it can be done. However, David Crisafulli, the Queensland Premier, was yesterday leaving the door open for private sector investment in stadiums infrastructure, not necessarily transport infrastructure and access infrastructure, but he says the private equity could bring the price tag down and leave a bit of change for the state. He said, though, that it wasn't absolutely needed to have the private sector on board.
No, we don't, but have a look at the terms of reference that we gave, and we've said to the delivery authority, if the market comes forward and wants to put forward some money and that can reduce the cost for taxpayers, we would consider that, if it's a good deal for taxpayers. And already we've seen that with the arena.
I have full confidence in the country and the states and the government's execution capability when working with the private sector. Remember, the funding here is $7.1 billion. That's committed. I mean, that's 2 days of revenue on the federal government side funding and 2 weeks of revenue on the state government funding. So literally the legacy infrastructure, legacy venue plan is solid and strong, but private sector money will come in because there will be ROI.
So, Kieran, $7.1 billion directly for Olympic Games infrastructure, but the Premier's also conceded that other transport infrastructure that needs to be set up in order to hold these events is going to be much more, many billions of dollars, he says.
Many billions of dollars. Let's be upfront about that. We're talking about running. We're talking about somebody being able to get on public transport from the Sunshine Coast Airport and going to Brisbane. We're talking about upgrades to the M1 and the Coomera connector. These are multi-billion-dollar projects.
So the Premier and senior ministers are today and for the remainder of the week travelling up and down the state, selling the Games infrastructure program to regional Queenslands. But it sounds like, Kieran, it's going to be a much harder and a much more important sell, you could say, to get the private sector to put in some capital for all this infrastructure required ahead of 2032.